Hello, everyone, and welcome
Hello.
to the first episode of Let's Talk Winchesters. And with me, of course, I have Carla from Carla's Astrology. The first episode of
Sorry
Let's
about
Talk
that.
Winchesters.
Okay.
And with
Sorry.
cost you extra.
Yep. Grandson's here.
Yeah. So both of us are huge Supernatural fans, and I was one of those people who watched like all 16 years. Like I never missed an episode. I even watched it all again after it was over, like back to back. And I know Carla, you even have the tarot deck, which I didn't get. I was a bit disappointed by that one, but you do have it, and so when this new show was announced, we were, of course, really excited. And so now it's here. And we thought, why not talk about it? So, um, this is also your spoiler warning because we will talk about what happens in the episode. We will talk about the characters. And if you haven't seen it, then well, you can stay tuned and listen to what happens, or you can watch this video later after you watch the episode. And we'll try to make this a weekly thing so that we can talk about all 13 episodes. And then we'll see what happens. So if you love Supernatural as much as we do, please join us in the chat. Tell us what you think about this new show, The Winchesters, how you like it, how you like the characters. So let us know. All right. So since I'm using the free version of StreamYard, I can't exactly have any pictures here popping up. So what we did is I took some screenshots of the show, and Carla has them on her iPad, so she's going to show them. Yes, exactly. And that way you can kind of see where we are in the story. So let's go right ahead and just jump into the plot. So we start in New Orleans and we see one of the men of letters' secret places, and someone is like cutting their hand, trying to open whatever thing this is, and like drawing a rune. And the guy doesn't really get to finish that because before he can actually go into whatever this is, there's a monster chasing him, and then we go to opening credits. And my cat is sneezing next to me. And what I really love about that is that they stuck with the original like sound things that they have when they had the opening for the Supernatural show. So they did the same thing here, and we have the logo. And so we need the next slide. Yeah, and they also, what I really love is they put the symbol in there. So we have the logo of the Men of Letters in there. So we know that this season is going to focus on the Men of Letters. And we'll talk more about that logo in a bit. Okay, next we see a bus driving into Lawrence, Kansas. So we know where the story is going to take place. It's in Sam and Dean's hometown. And on that bus is John Winchester. No. Yeah, John Winchester. We can see that he's wearing his army uniform, so he just got home from the war. And we also get some flashbacks, so he's got probably some PTSD of like based on the things that happened there. And then in his hand, he is holding a letter. And up in the corner, we can see the symbol of the Men of Letters again. So we get the first hint of what's going to happen. And then next, we hear Dean's voice because Dean is actually the one telling the story. And he says, and I wrote this down, March 23rd, 1972, the day Dad came home from the war and the day he met Mom. I know the story might seem familiar, but I'm going to put the pieces together in a way that might surprise you. And in order to do that, I have to start all the way at the beginning. So that's all that we hear from Dean for now. And then next, we see Mary and John running into each other. So really like not paying attention, bumping into each other, like the classic cliche kind of thing. And they meet, sparks are flying immediately. And after that, like they still don't really exchange names. So it's just like the first chance encounter. After that, he goes home to his mom. And then we find out, his mom, she works at a like auto mechanic shop, and they talk about her husband and John's dad being missing for 15 years now, and that he's basically been chasing his dad and trying to find him for a long time. And his mom is telling him to just let it go, because after all this time, how is he going to find him? What is he going to find out? So they think that he just up and left and disappeared and ditched the family, because they don't really know what happened. And so next he takes the letter to find answers. And we see the letter also had a key in it. And here we also see, like underneath his thumb, there is the little charm of the symbol that the boys had tattooed on their chest, like the one that keeps them from getting possessed. And we also see on the show that other hunters have the same charm. Mary has it on her bracelet. There was another person who had it in her hand, but that was a big mistake because she lost it and she got possessed. And so in that place, John runs into a demon. The demon is trying to fight him. Mary rescues John because he doesn't really know anything about demons just yet. And so we get the first demonic exorcism on the show done by Mary. And then she gives him a quick intro into demonology. And then next, they use the key to open up this place, and they find one of the secret hideouts, libraries, places of the men of letters that they keep all over the country, where they have lots of like books and magical objects and everything that they need in order to fight monsters. And so that's when John, for the first time, sees the title Men of Letters on a book, and he finds his dad's locker in there with a family photo. No, not yet. Not yet. So yeah, he finds his dad's locker with a family picture and all of it, and so he takes I think a journal from there. So yeah, it's the first real clue that he has to possibly finding out what happened to his dad. And then now Mary finds a file on a device that her dad, Samuel Campbell, who seems to be missing at this point, was looking for, and it is a box that can trap monsters. And next we meet another character, Ada Monroe. She is in Texas, and I'm not sure what she is just yet, if she is more like a librarian, researcher, like Bobby, if she's a hunter, if she's a witch. That wasn't really addressed, I think. So I guess we'll see more of that in the next episodes. And yeah, she has one of those charms, and of course the demon comes, she loses it, she gets possessed. Bad luck. Next, another character that we meet is Letika, or Lata, as they also call her. She seems to be a librarian, and she helps the hunters, like Mary, for example, with their research. And they go to her whenever they need some kind of information. And after meeting her, they all head to Texas, because that's where the next clue leads them. So road trip time. And in Texas, then we meet the next character, and that is Carlos. And yeah, there's a bit of history between Mary and Carlos, but Carlos a little more to the other side. Carla? No, other side? Perfect. So Carlos is a very cool cat, I think. So very flamboyant, and like the way he goes about business is kind of cute. Like I like Carlos. I think he's gonna be the element of humor on the show. And he's a very chill kind of hunter, kind of like a hippie. And he also gives John the first crash course in exorcism. So he makes John actually do the first exorcism of a demon. And next, we have a picture. Yeah, there he is having that exorcism and doing that for himself for the first time. And after that, they go to New Orleans, to the graveyard, and they find this place again that we saw in the very beginning, which had already been opened. And they investigate a little bit further, and they actually go down there. And in the tunnels or whatever is down there on the next picture, we can see what they were actually looking for, and it is that box that they saw in the files and in another book that can trap monsters. And here we also see that symbol again that the men of letters use. And Letika is the one who was tasked with finding out how to open this thing or how to activate it so that they can actually use it. And then turns out they're not alone down there, because the men of letters left a watchdog, a loup-garou. And so now they have to run for their lives. And that's the monster. That's the best look that we can get at it. We don't really see too much of it. But yeah, this is the monster of this episode, a loup-garou. And the next, Letika, she finds out how to open the box because Ada returned as the possessed demon, and so they managed to trap the demon inside that box. So it kind of works like if you've seen Ghostbusters, you know, the trap that they have to suck the monsters in, it's kind of like that. And then Ada, who was possessed by the demon, is now back to her old self. Next, we see John being back at his mom's place, and he actually gives her the letter that he received from his dad. It's the first time she's reading it, and even still, she says that he should just let it go. And here we get the first, or the other quote that Dean always gave us, and his dad says it: "Saving people, hunting things." And he says, "Seems like I was born to do this." So we go right into the Winchester legacy with that one. And I love that they have these little tidbits in there. And then, of course, we also have the group getting back together after everything. And Ada is telling John a little bit more about what's happening, and that they are actually going to be fighting the Akrita. That seems to be the big bad of this season. And these are entities that want to take over the world. That's the only thing that we learn for now. And then we get to the final scene of the episode, the one that we kind of started with in a way. So Dean, leaning against Baby, writing in his journal and narrating again. And so he says, "What they didn't know is that the Akrita weren't just a threat to Earth, but to all of existence. Now, like I told you, there's going to be surprises. Hell, I'm still trying to find all the puzzle pieces myself. But I'll explain everything, and until then, I'll keep picking the music." It's like Dean always said, driver picks the music, shotgun shots the cake hole.
That was awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going through it, because with it, because there's some stuff that doesn't quite add up a little bit.
Exactly. Let's talk about that. So what did you feel kind of like, that doesn't sound right?
Well, the part where John is like going to help her hunt. And I thought that didn't happen until after Mary died, that he decided to become a hunter.
Well, they kind of touched on that when Dean went into the past in one episode. I don't remember which episode it was, but they first started going out, and it was when Mary actually made the pact with Yellow Eyes because her father Samuel was going to die, and John was there to witness all of that. But I don't remember if they actually erased his memory or if he had if he hit his head and then just couldn't remember it anymore. But they touched on that when Dean went to the past and actually revealed himself as her future son, and they were hunting together and that kind of stuff. So at least on Supernatural, John knew some stuff, but I don't remember what year that actually was, but I think it wasn't too far away from Dean coming into existence. So, but now with this show, since we start in the year 72, and it's going to be 6 more years until Mary gets pregnant.
Nice.
So, yeah, 7 years after meeting, that's when they had Dean on January 24th, 1979. And yeah, so I'll be interested to see how they do the timeline thing, because I mean, they always hinted at things in the show, but they never really gave too much. So They have like some cornerstones to go off of. And they're going to try, because I watched some interviews with Jensen Ackles, who is the producer or one of the producers of the show, that they're going to try and fill in the blanks. But he also said that he might change a little bit here and there. So I'm wondering what that will be.
Yeah, me too.
And they also, like, one thing that I'm hoping is going to happen is that they bring some characters back that we already know, because they have so much to work with, since nothing and no one on Supernatural ever really dies, and you can time travel and all kinds of stuff. So they could bring back any of the angels or demons. They can even bring back family members from the future, from the past, from whatever. And there's so much they can do with the show, and I hope that they will do a good job, because I'm one of those people, like, I'm really attached to a story and the characters, and then I don't want anyone to mess it up. Right. I don't know, you.
I feel that way because I mean, we're invested in, since Dean's narrating.
Yeah.
You know, and you asked, where's Sam?
Exactly. The question is, when is all of that happening? Because Sam and Dean were never really apart, except for Dean was only on his own when Sam was down in the cage. And he wasn't in there for too long, but during that time, Dean had his own life, and he actually settled down for a while. But whatever this is right now, that seems to be after, because they're talking about the Men of Letters. And the first time that the Men of Letters appeared on the show was in season 8, episode 12, when Henry Winchester actually came from the past, which is the situation that happened. Like, that's when Henry Winchester disappeared, because it was on August 12th, 1958, that he was supposed to be initiated into the Men of Letters. And that's when Abaddon, one of the Knights of Hell, came and slaughtered the Men of Letters, and he managed to escape into the future to find his relatives. And unfortunately, Abaddon managed to follow, and so Henry Winchester died in the future when they tried to kill Abaddon, but failed. And so that's why Henry Winchester was gone and never be seen again. So that's why John doesn't really have his dad around anymore, but he doesn't know that yet. So he just thinks that dad walked out on the family.
So what do you think then, as far as like from watching the first episode, because your memory is way better than mine. You have like
Well,
a
I
photograph.
also looked at the stuff, like the dates. I don't remember those, but I'm really interested in where they go with this whole Men of Letters thing because it was always there on the show, like once they found the bunker, but they never really went too much into it. So I'm gonna wait and see if they go anywhere with it because, like, that symbol that they use for the Men of Letters, this is the crest of the Aquarian star, which represents great magic and power linked to Atlantis. So no one knows exactly when the Men of Letters were founded, but it seems to be a very old organization, and they've been fighting monsters since way back when. And so I'm hoping that we get a little more of that and that it's not just going to focus entirely on the love story. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to work because we have Winchesters again, because they were talking about this in interviews too, where they said like they tried another spin-off, the Wayward Sisters. That one never took off. They were also thinking about, well, would anyone want to watch Castiel and maybe Jack or something? And it always came back to it needs to be a Winchester because people want to see the Winchester family. And so this time they're going to focus on the love between Mary and John. And with Supernatural, it was basically the bromance between Sam and Dean. So it's like this show lives off of the personal connection that these people have. And something that might be a bit, I mean, we know how it ends. They end up together, they have a family. Right. But until then, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they go about this relationship thing, because Mary right away from the beginning said, no, you don't want any part of this. You don't want this life. Better stay away from me. And I think that's going to be a reoccurring thing, that she just tries to push him away to keep him safe. And he's not going to.
Like she did in the series, the Supernatural series.
Exactly. And because she knows the dangers that are involved, and he's a little bit, I mean, he's been in a war. He knows what fighting and losing and all of that really is all about, which is something that she might not give him enough credit for. And so they both have experience fighting on different playing fields. And of course, the whole monster thing and magic, that's like a whole other level. But I think it's going to come in handy that he's actually a soldier. And the funny thing is, like, John is actually the first combination of Men of Letters and Hunters. It's not just Sam and Dean as we originally thought, but they're the first bridge. No, like their father was actually the first link between both of them, because he was supposed to learn from his father Henry and be initiated into the Men of Letters. So something that I also read about the Men of Letters, they think that the Hunters are inferior to them. So they are the ones, they consider themselves the elite, and the Hunters are like the foot soldiers. They do all the dirty work. And the legacies, they use like spellcraft, and they do the clean kind of hunting in a way. And so, yeah, with John, we have the crossover between both worlds. We have him being a legacy, but also being a soldier, a hunter. So I think that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things that I always had in the back of my mind when watching Supernatural, because that's the way my brain works, is that, you know, I can imagine this stuff really happening. You know, it's like there's a shadow government, you know, and so they're given that soft disclosure. And so now with the Men of Letters and Link, and like maybe given some of that background, and no one knows where it began, and you're talking about Atlantis, that alone, if they actually jump on that and follow that, I'll be hooked. I'll be hooked.
Yeah. I mean, something interesting that John said when they found that first secret warehouse or whatever that was, he mentioned the Masons. So the men of letters are pretty much like Freemasons and any other secret society. First of all, it's a secret society, so not much is known about it. People don't know who's in it, what they actually do, how long have they existed. You like in the men of letters, it goes down the family line. You can't just walk in and become a member. So it's very, very secluded and all of that. So yeah, it's like we basically get a good look at what secret societies do or what we think they do.
Yeah, I always thought that the Masons were modern day Essenes, keeping
Yeah.
track of all that, and yeah. So
Yeah. And like on the show, we've seen that some of the monsters, they are in economics and politics. They have their hands in everything because they're after power. And where do you get power in the human world? It's where the money is. It's
and
not
I
just
wonder, I'm just asking, the Akrita, and it says that they're otherworldly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if they're not like kind of like the theory of the Anunnaki, being otherworldly and returning.
Well, they're definitely like the way that they're talking about that. It's like they're not from Earth, they're not from this world, so they are to some extent alien in that degree. And the thing is, when like the men of letters have always kept them away from Earth with whatever it was they were doing, especially with that box that could trap them. And when Abaddon really wiped out the men of letters, that was the way in for the Akrita, because now no one is there to defend Earth anymore because no one knows that they were doing it in the first place, really. So now the hunters have to put the pieces together, and because there's no men of letters left. Like John is really the last one, it seems, unless they find any other relatives of members. But I don't think they ever. Well, we do have the London chapter, which we see later in the show with Catch and all of them. But in America, they were pretty much wiped out.
Right. Well, I'm excited.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see where they take this, and if we get to see Sam at some point. I mean,
I hope so.
they like the whole thing of how this came to be, and like Jarrett and Jensen, like Jarrett not really knowing about it and finding out from the press and from like Twitter and stuff. But they've talked about it in other interviews, like they're good. So maybe, hopefully, Sam will join at some point. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath on it really, but
Right.
I would love to see like someone like Gabriel or Michael or any of those make an appearance, like the Angels. I know Castiel is probably not going to come because that was the first time he was on Earth. But yeah, or maybe Yellow Eyes will make an appearance.
We're gonna see Yellow Eyes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm wondering what kind of familiar faces they might bring back, because that's going to be interesting.
So I think that Letika or Lata, she's like Sam's archetype. I think she's the same. She's going to be like the researcher, the one that tells them everything, and Ada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
And something that is also going to be interesting to watch is actually how John behaves, because something that we can see already in the way that he handles business and finds out information, talks, like he is the perfect combination of Sam and Dean. Like he exhibits both parts. He has the mind that wants to investigate and everything, that is Sam, and he also has the let's go and get this job done hunting kind of thing, like Dean. So I'm really interested to see how that character develops and what they do with that, and to also see how Mary is, and to really see what they got from each parent.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think Dean's a good storyteller, so we'll see.
Yeah. And I'm excited that baby is part of it. Like that car. Oh my God.
I know, right?
At some point, John is going to get that car, and back on Supernatural, it was actually Dean who talked him into it, because that was when Dean was in the past, and John originally wanted to buy something else, and I think it was shortly before Mary got pregnant, or she was already pregnant with Dean. And so John was looking for a family car, and Dean said, well, this is one to hand down to your sons, things like that. So that's how he made sure that baby would be in the family.
Excellent. Just reminds, even though I know the car's not possessed, just reminds me of Christine.
No, I think they made sure that this car could not be possessed. I mean, it has, like, when you open the trunk, it has like the demon trap and everything. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Baby is a good helper. Baby has always been a good extra character on the show.
Yeah, the chariot.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, let us know in the comments what you thought about the first episode, if you're watching it at all, or if you say, no, Supernatural is done for me. I'm not going to touch that canon again. So, yeah, let us know what you think. And then we'll see you next time when we talk about episode 2.
Yay!
So, until then, have a good day, have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.